Welcome to the Hudson School District podcast series, Parenting with Pride. PBIS at Home. The Matrix, it's not just a movie.
PBI what? Schools have rules, but not just created by the teachers and posted on the chalkboard like when we were kids. Rules are created with our kids at school, and we want to make sure that there is communication between home and school.
Welcome to Parenting with Pride. Allison and Leah here, and just as always sharing our teacher-parent lens, and today's topic is PBIS. So PBIS is our district-wide positive behavior interventions and supports. Essentially, it's our way to help foster a really positive community throughout all of our schools so that kiddos can learn, so that kiddos can feel safe, and they can feel equally responsible for their learning, and that there's kindness and a community feel to all of our buildings. And so ultimately, it's 3 tiers, and it's a framework that that our whole staff is trained on, and to positively affect the kiddos. Mm-hmm. Evidence-based. And every school does this, and that's what I love, Allison. I've been in different schools, and it is the same language throughout. So here at Willow, we talk about being kind, safe, and responsible. We have a Willow Wow, we call it. So we are kind, our school is safe, and we are responsible. Mm-hmm. And we really just start the year off talking about that because we know as adults, when you are in an environment where you feel safe, where you feel respected, where you feel like you have a sense of responsibility to add to the community, to add to the team, you're gonna work that much harder. You're gonna feel that much better, and you're gonna feel good about being there. And it's the same for kids.
Want to try harder. I mean, you're going to want to try to do your best and show your best.
So it's everybody. Yeah. We start the year off doing lessons. We involved
big kickoff.
Big kickoff. We involve specialists, assistants. Right. Everybody in the school uses the same language, and we teach the kiddos about all the different areas of the school: classroom, cafeteria, the music room, the gymnasium, and what the expectations are. And we don't assume, because we all know what that does. We don't assume that they know, and we want them to be able to be successful in all these areas and learn and grow to their best ability. And so if they know what's expected, they can do that. Right. And
I just think, didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm just thinking about how when we have all of these specialists and everybody involved in the same language and the same conversations, the transitions to and from school or around our school are just so much calmer and set kids up for so much more success. If my class, I teach first grade, so I've got little kids in my room where it's just really concrete. We have a lot of concrete directions. There's not a lot of inferring that happens. I have to be very direct and clear. And so to be able to leave our classroom and then go into music and see that the music teacher has the same expectations for their classroom, but it's set up the same. We talk about it the same. We teach it the same. Even having kids have gone to 2 different schools. My boys have been to 2 different schools in the Hudson School District, and having both of them follow this PBIS model, they were able to transition to each new school really seamlessly because the expectations felt the same. It didn't feel like a totally different world to them to go to a different elementary school in Hudson. So thinking about families who are moving or moving into a different school, that's one thing that you can feel confident about, is that this system is in place for everybody.
Yeah, and to support our kids and teachers. Right. And I believe it goes all the way up through high school. So there's a PBIS model supports all the way up through our biggest kids.
Which is great.
What ages does it work best with? Well, we adapt it every day with K to 5, K to 5th grade. And I definitely see it benefiting all of our students.
Yes, I notice in first grade, just having first grade teaching experience, that kids are really motivated by the positive intention and positive talk that comes from it. So we'll talk about what is the Matrix. It's not just a movie with Keanu Reeves. It is something that we develop as a school, and then each classroom has their own matrix too. So we send home something in the fall that parents can fill out for a matrix at home. And we're really hoping that your kids will remember what's on their matrix, that they would be able to come into their classroom and be able to teach you what the expectations are, even as a parent who's not at school all day, every day. Kids should know that we celebrate with school-wide rewards. We just had a comfy, cozy day that we earned as a school. Classroom rewards. So each teacher, each team, grade level team can come up with their own reward system as blue tickets. At Willow, that's our incentive ticket, a blue ticket. When they reach a certain level, classroom award. All school meetings are a really big deal at all of our schools to celebrate these PBIS expectations and celebrations with behavior and showing the Willow way, how we call it at our school. Your kids should be able to explain that to you. We talk about it all the time. And there's even times for reteaching when the skills aren't being mastered or there's a deficit in some way.
Yeah, we start the year by teaching it school-wide. So we talk about what are the expectations in all the different places of the school. And we do this with the specialists, with our principal, with our assistants, with everybody involved. So all the adults in the school are using the same language and all the students are getting the same message. And then we really simply reward them and praise them when we see it. So those blue tickets are attached with a specific praise. I like how you're walking in the hallway. Blue ticket can come from another teacher that sees them in the hallway. So kiddos are learning the skills. We're teaching them what's expected, but then we're rewarding them right away. We continue that rewarding all throughout the whole year. And if there's an area that we see or notice that needs extra little pumping up or maybe a reteach, then we do that. And then we try to really praise those kiddos in that area that are really being successful and what we call the Willow Way. I know every other school has their own little slogan. So we focus on being kind, safe, and responsible. And I know all of the schools really focus on those three big expectations. And so we talk about those throughout our whole building.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to note, too, that even kindergartners can identify that Willow Way. We are kind, our school is safe, we are responsible, and they can show all of those expectations. So we make sure to scaffold and set that matrix for each grade level in each classroom to make sure that the kids are successful. Reteaching happens to every child, K-5. Nobody is perfect.
Right.
Nobody
We're not
can have
robots.
a perfect day. We're not
Right.
robots. And so something really great about the PBIS model is very specific and purposeful reteaching and coaching, which I think is different than a lot of schools. I mean, having taught for a long time and been in places that didn't have something like PBIS, where you were kind of on your own to come up with your own plan, it didn't feel as much of a community. And this really makes it feel like a little
Like that.
homey community.
That's really great. I think of my own childhood, everything was a discipline or a negative consequence. And so we look at this as what do they need to know? If the skill is not being exhibited, we need to reteach them the skill or provide motivation to show or exhibit the expectations. So I think looking at it that way, what can we do to support our students in our buildings to follow the Willow Way, follow the whatever it may be at all the elementary schools, but show the expected behavior. And in our classrooms too, it looks a little bit different maybe in each classroom, especially per grade level, but the message is still the same. How are you kind? How can you be responsible? And how can you be safe?
Right. So thinking about this as a parent and not just the teacher lens, really the question might be from parents listening, well, how does this affect us at our house? What can we do to kind of set that PBIS model at home? So we're here to kind of just give you some ideas of what you could do at home so that when this matrix sheet comes home again in the fall, or when you're taking a look at what your home expectations are mid-year, setting goals for the next, New Year's is coming, not super soon, but it is coming. And so what kinds of things do you want to think about and focus on as a family? And I think this is a really great way to set the expectations. You could talk about,
That's great.
I know that you have expectations at school. Let's talk about those expectations. And a lot of them are going to mirror and mimic what expectations are for kindness and being responsible and safe at home. So
You're right. That's a really good point. And I think too, just like we have rules and expectations at school, there's a lot of rules and expectations at home, maybe not written down and posted,
right.
but there's expectations. So just having a really honest, open conversation about what makes you feel safe, what feels kind to you, what responsibilities do you think you should have or want to have at home, and how can we work as a family team to really make sure everybody feels equally responsible, safe, and
Right.
and feels the kindness from one another. And then to catch those, I think that's our parental job, is to catch those moments and
Right.
really give that specific labeled praise. I love that you cleared the dinner dishes without being asked. Thank you so much for taking the time to clean up all the blankets and the pillows in the
Right.
living room, or whatever it may be. A specific labeled praise, catching them doing things that are expected in your household.
We always talk about how our family is a team and that the mom and the dad in the family are the captains. We're in charge. Our job is to parent you. Our job is to make sure that you are safe and that we are teaching you these skills for you to be successful adults. And when one person from the team isn't participating, it makes it really hard for our team to function effectively. And so we will often say when there's complaints about emptying the dishwasher or putting your laundry away, or always. But did you know that you have to empty the dishwasher every time it's done?
Yes,
You did
it's
know
just
that?
crazy, and it
Oh, sh-
happens like every
Yes.
day.
And did you know that if you want to have clean pants, you should put the pants away from the laundry
Yes.
or give the dirty clothes to the person who washes it?
I mean,
Anyway, I digress.
it's a
but
crazy
crazy
concept.
concept. But we talk about how when a part of our team isn't functioning well or isn't participating, that really kind of brings us down a little bit. It makes it harder for the rest of our family to really stay on top of things. And so we talk about how we have mom and dad jobs to do and there are kid jobs to do. And together we make a team. And when we work as a family unit, then things go smoother. We have more time to play together. We have more time to go and do an outing or something fun when we have our jobs, our have-tos. I always go back to that, have-tos versus want-tos. But when we have those things done, then there's time to enjoy each other.
And that really goes back to what we do at school too. When we talk about all school rewards or classroom awards, when the behavior is met and exhibited at a frequency that we want to reward, or they earn so many points, whatever it may be, then that's what we do. Cozy
Right.
day or a special hat day is earned, or a special treat. So doing that in your family makes a lot of sense. Having those rewards that come from showing the expected behavior working as a team. That's a perfect idea, Allison.
Right. We also, think about ways you can discuss how your day went.
Bringing that home.
Yeah, bringing that positive home and really focusing on the positive. So when we think about, this is a 3-tiered approach. So when we think about that, tier 1 is for everybody. When there are expectations that are continuously not being met and reteaching is continuously happening at school, we add that layer, that check-in layer. And thinking about how that can transfer at home too, it's really to stay positive.
Right.
Everybody has things that they need to work on. Like you said, we're not robots. We're not
Right.
perfect every day. And so the point of PBIS too is not for parents to think about having to harp on the negative if they get
Right.
a report about that, or having to worry about they forgot their homework, what will that consequence be? But more to really focus on the parts of your day that felt successful. And so another thing we'll say, and I credit my husband to this, he'll say, what did you do for somebody that was kind today? And then what did somebody do that
I
was
like
kind
that.
to you? And that really helps then open up that communication, but then solidify the meaning of that kindness and respect too, and what that can look like.
Yes, and I think that's a great little hook too, because you'll often hear, how was your day? Fine. What'd you do? Nothing.
Winter
But
recess.
specific little questions like that.
Mhm.
What were your responsibilities today? What did you accomplish? How did you
Right.
show kindness? I think those are really great questions, and leads into a really great conversation about what you hold important in your family.
Right.
And what you hold important as they go out in the world and are a
Mhm.
student in their classroom. I think that's really great.
Yeah.
You mentioned tier 2. Sometimes students need more guidance and more support. So we do provide that in all the elementary schools. So in addition to the blue tickets and the reteachings that come with Tier 1. Some students qualify for more support, and then that looks very similar, just more intense. So it's, more adults involved in their day, coaching, cheerleading for them, and then daily communication with parents too. And so, our ultimate support here in the Hudson District is ultimate expectation is that we communicate and we really support and encourage these kiddos to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. And so sometimes everyone needs a little extra cheerleading.
Right.
I think at home, I can recognize one of my kids that maybe needs more support than others at certain times. So thinking again along how can we reteach them what they need and praise them when we see it.
Right. And always thinking about that behavior is a communication tool. So instead of jumping to conclusions that they are just ignoring or this is just a bad attitude toward whatever responsibility at home, it's more of, okay, what can I do as mom or dad or grown up in the home to reteach what I'm expecting, because they maybe have just missed the message and they don't understand. And so helping your family run smoothly, I think there's a lot of parallels between, and which is why we send that home, right? We want that to be a matrix communication tool, but then also because it does really help set up your household family functioning too.
Right. And yeah, so many ties between home and school, and we want your home life to run smoothly too. Definitely. Allison, that was a great point. I think as parents, sometimes we get frustrated if expectations aren't being met, but that teacher lens helps me to remember that we can't assume they know or that they really understand that this is an expected behavior or this is an expectation. I think sometimes they don't realize oh, you're serious.
Oh, you really want me to do that?
Actually want me to continually hang up my coat every day? Yes. Let me explain this to you.
And your boots should be in the mudroom every day.
And I just think, it takes me just as much time to get mad and grouch and talk to them in a grouchy way as it does for me to say, this is important to me. This is the expectations. Let me show you how.
And I feel like when we kind of use that grouchy tone and that's the way that we react, that feels worse longer. Whereas it takes the same amount of energy to reteach it in a positive way as it does to kind of crab and nag, but that feeling afterwards of making now everyone's on edge, everyone's unhappy, everyone's crabby, that feeling kind of lingers. And so this really does set up for a positive thing too. I also want to say too that just having all of the grownups in the house on the same page is really important. Thinking about and I can just think of a couple of instances that have happened in our house that my husband and I haven't been on totally the same page. And so we've had to kind of have okay, what do you think about this? Just really quick, meeting between the two of us. And then that feels stressful too. Well, wait a minute. I thought you felt this way about putting shoes in the closet. I thought you felt this way about where backpacks should go. And it might not be something that's a big deal, but just having this, and not that you have to write it down, but thinking about what both grownups or all the grownups who are caregivers in your house, what are you expecting? Do you have the same expectations? How can you make your expectations match closely, even if they're not the same? Because then I think that gives a mixed message to kids too.
Right. So my takeaway would be positively reteach if needed.
Right.
Have clear, concise expectations. And continue to praise them. Praise them for the expected behavior. Everything that we do at school. Yes.
Right. And it's okay to give praise for the expected behavior.
Yes, and celebrate. I love how you guys work together as a team and then celebrate and do fun things together.
Right.
That's great.
I think if you have any questions about PBIS or the matrix or how you can set this up successfully at home, all of our schools, elementary schools, middle school, high school too, they have really fantastic school counselors. And I know, speaking from Willow experience, Mrs. Fleer, our counselor, is very involved in helping families make these matrices. Really fancy word.
There you go.
Matrices. But she's very involved in this and really leads that PBIS team and really does a great job to send the communication message to home too. So really, parents, if you're wondering about this or have an idea for how to set this up at home, but you're not quite sure, you could reach out to your classroom teacher, to the school counselors. all of us are really happy to explain it further and know that this is a process and a system for us to be on the same team. We want your kids to feel successful and safe at school. Seen at school, I think of all the kids that have had some kind of acknowledgement from a different teacher. I think of when like 5th grade teachers come down our hallway and are handing out blue tickets for cleaning up your stuff in the hallway. It's like mind blowing to first graders. And so thinking about how you can be sure that everybody at your child's elementary school, middle school, high school, they're cared about by so many grown-ups.
Right. And the community that this PBIS system really facilitates is awesome.
Right. It is really great.
We love it. So here was your little snippet of what PBIS is. And if you're getting any of those tickets coming home in their pockets, especially elementary age kiddos, send them back to school. We want them here at school. We want the kiddos to earn all the rewards. Thanks for tuning in.
Right.
We have a lot more conversations ahead in our Parenting with Pride series. You can find the Hudson School District Podcast Library on our website, hudsonraiders.org, under the Families tab, and on Spotify. If you have questions, send an email to connections@hudsonraiders.org.